there has been a story recently, and this story has been circulating in the news and the media. And two colleagues, two footballers, two star footballers for Manchester City, always seems to be revolving around Manchester City for some reason. But yeah, Bernardo Silva, who's a Portuguese international, and Benjamin Mendy, who is a French World Cup winner, of African descent. He basically on Twitter recently, Bernardo Silva. Let's just give you a backstory. These two are friends, colleagues. They've played with each other at various clubs. Now, Bernardo Silva on Twitter shared a split screen image of Benjamin Mendy, who when he was a child, and a famous chocolate cartoon character called from a product called the Conguitos. Now, Conguitos are a Spanish chocolate. They're a little bit like Maltesers, little round chocolate balls. And the mascot of this company is a black figure, brown figure, naked baby.
Baby.
Yeah, basically looks like, let's tell it how it is. It looks like a gollywog baby, yeah? And the original image was of a baby holding a spear, and he changed it in the 80s to an image of this baby holding his thumb up. Now, there was obviously, understandably, a big uproar when this was posted on Twitter by Bernardo Silva. And he has since been fined, or he's been charged by the FA in relation to that tweet, and he's been, he might get a ban, he might get a fine, it's pending. Now, there's been various conversations that have been had in the media since that has, come about. One of the loudest voices, who usually is one of the loudest voices, Mr. John Barnes, Uncle Barnes. Shots. Uncle Barnes came out basically saying that it's not racist. He's not my uncle, no relation. Coming out saying that it's not racist, and that we need to kind of reclaim these images, and why should black people be offended by cartoon characters, and are black people not allowed to be fair game when it comes to cartoon characters? Are they not allowed to be represented as cartoon characters? Is it racist to have black figures as cartoon characters? Now, I think that question kind of negates the whole. It leaves out a lot of the context surrounding this whole issue, in my opinion. But I wanted to find out from everyone in the room. Do we feel? Because I know like some people will be well versed in this case, and some people might not know much about the case out there listening as well. Do we feel that is it ever acceptable for a situation like this? Now, the reason why I asked that is because Bernardo Silva and Benjamin Mendy are clearly friends. They're really good friends, and it was the excuse was made that they're friends. This is banter between friends, and it shouldn't be seen as anything other than that. Now, and that is what John Barnes has kind of, he's subscribed to that version of events. Now, while that may be true, and although I feel that Bernardo Silva is not a racist by any stretch of the imagination, I feel that it's definitely ignorant to start with. And also, there's a wider conversation about how different cultures look at different things. So in Britain, straight away everyone was up in arms. In Spain, I'm sure they're not even thinking about it. But it also, in general, the Spanish people that I've met, like I've seen that chocolate advertised for years, Conguitos. And it's always offended me, and I've seen it, and I'm like, why is this chocolate in the shops? It's a little gollywog baby, and it's in shops, and people are buying it. And when I'm speaking to Spanish people about it, they're like, oh no, it doesn't mean that. It's just like, it's a chocolate, so it's supposed to be a chocolate person. But then when I looked into the history of it, it does actually represent, and I will get into that a little bit later, I just want to hear everyone's side of things first, but it does actually, it's supposed to represent a little Congolese child. Like, and it's around, it's, because when the chocolate was formed, when it was made, when it first came about, it was about independence in Congo, and that's why the creator made this chocolate, and they were inspired by that whole movement. So do we feel like there's ever an acceptable situation where these kind of images can be shared? Is there a wider conversation, and do we feel like it was racist, or it was just ill-judged or ill-informed of that player to do that? Who wants to go first? Go on, Ray.
I think with Silva, like you said, he's a Portuguese international, and I feel that even before he sent that tweet, even if it's a personal tweet between brethren, whatnot, he's directly offended his brethren by making a joke.
No, but his brethren, he wasn't offended.
Maybe Mendy wouldn't be offended by that. Mendy is French of African descent, so maybe his homework isn't far enough for him to know that that's offensive imagery.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
the gollywog, which is on jam jars for mad years until they took it off, is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Watch the Dumbo cartoons and the guys, and it's that kind of caricature, man. And this is like that's blatantly racist, man.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't care if it's a chocolate baby, man. His lips is bright red, man. That's a gollywog shit, man.
Yeah.
And I understand. I don't think Benito. I don't think Silva's racist. I think Silva, like you said, is miseducated.
Yeah.
And he's people them in that respect don't understand the relevance like behind that. But saying that, maybe I'm wrong, because it's Portugal. We know Portugal's involvement in certain histories and the Spanish too. So I think he knew what he was doing, and to put that on a social form as well, like Twitter. Why not send it to him on WhatsApp? You two busting a joke, send it to him on WhatsApp. Nobody saw that.
Yeah.
They call you this, that, back cracker, whatever he's gonna call you. You call him this, gollywog. You send gollywog picture. You when he's a baby.
Yeah, because he put the picture up and it said, "Guess who?" And it was like
guess who, baby? I saw the baby picture, and then I was like, "This is your friend, man. Your friend gonna laugh after that."
Yeah. But apparently they're really good friends. Mendy didn't feel offended by it. He felt like it was not justified, but he felt like, oh yeah, it's just a bit of banter between friends. And we all know, listen, let's just be honest here. We've all got, like lots of different friends with different cultures, backgrounds, and sometimes we have jokes with each other that are, kind of borderline. Yeah, everyone has racial banter with their friends, innit? But like, I think there's a difference. Like when you share it online,
public.
When you put it online, then it becomes a different conversation entirely. But then also, there's another thing. It's like, it's what imagery you share as well. It's like a gollywog or a gollywog-like image brings up like uncomfortable memories and uncomfortable histories, and it's like, even if you have any racial banter that I have with any friends, it doesn't involve like actual real life uncomfortable moments. It's usually like cultural references or food or something like surface level that's so like throwaway that people aren't even but when you're talking about like things that have like uncomfortable like context, and I think a lot of people miss context, and that is the thing, like where John Barnes kind of like, he encourages a lot of these kind of racism deniers and these kind of biased.
It's not the first time with John Barnes.
Like he encourages he encourages like people with like bias, like confirmation bias. Yeah, so like he encourages people who think that everyone gets up in arms about this like quote unquote racism. Oh yeah, they are. They're overreacting and everything's racist nowadays. And he encourages them people because anything that he comments on, you look at the comments underneath. Like, it's always like people like that that are like, oh yeah, snowflake nation and this and that, and that's the kind of narrative that's being thrown about with this. Oh, people are becoming a nation of snowflakes now that you can't say anything, and that is why it's not race. Not only is it not racist, but everyone's being too sensitive about the issue. So I don't know. Like I'd like to hear company. What do you think?
Oh man, it's a bit of a double-edged sword because, like you said, we do make kind of jokes about it as well to a certain degree. But there's banter. I think when you're a celebrity, you have to take a bit more responsibility. Yeah. And you have to be a bit more accountable. Mm-hmm. So posting something like that online, like being a big famous footballer, is probably the wrong choice. But at the same time, it's like when it's public, people are gonna get offended. But what's the difference between private and public? This is the thing. This is the real issue. Do you get what I'm saying?
You're just waiting for their personal thing.
Yeah.
Feeling that, you're feeling that. Sorry to cut you. Mendy is a Frenchman of African descent, and the French of African descent in France go for effing hard time, innit?
Yeah.
They have been over the years. So for him to even be smiling and laughing about that, knowing the history of his people, why they're even in France and everything behind that, he's not an educated guy. He was a guy that was just good at football. So obviously, you can obviously see that now. He's just good at ball.
Yeah, because that's another thing. It's like, just because someone's not offended, that doesn't mean it's acceptable. Because they might not be offended because they don't get the context, and that's cool. I'm not saying that you have to tell people to be offended by stuff, because I get irritated when people tell me what I should be offended by. Yeah, but like at the same time, so I'm not saying that he should be offended by it, but he's probably not that he has to be offended by it, but he probably hasn't checked Silva because he don't know the context. Do you know what I mean? So he's kind of like, he's just kind of letting it slide because it's nothing. It does look like me. Do you know what I mean? But like, if you were to check, you know what I'm saying? But if you were to check the context, you'd be like, bruv, like seriously, like it's all love, but bruv, like, you know what I mean? Like, don't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think the other guy posting it, his friend posting it, and thinking it's okay to do shit like that is just it again comes down to like white privilege, if I'm honest with you, and him thinking that he could do something like that, and if he's ignorant and he doesn't know that it will offend people, that he might not be doing it to offend someone, but that's just because he's ignorant. Do you get what I'm saying? At the same time, so I think John Barnes is a prick though for defending it still. John Barnes still, yeah.
But you know what? John Barnes always turns up with these conversations, yeah. And 9 times out of 10, there's been times like he stuck up for Sterling with the whole racism thing but that was like obvious. But I feel like John Barnes always sits on the side of the deniers. Maybe it's intentional or not, whether it's intentional or not. Like he's trying to, I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to have uncomfortable conversations and trying to face people with, trying to move past, staying in with the same narratives. But the thing is, if the same narrative's being pushed, don't disregard it. It's not.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He's not the, what do you call it?
Spokesperson.
Exactly. There's going to be many people that disagree with him.
But they always wheel him out when it comes to racism topics. Like, let's get John Barnes because he's going to say some shit that I feel comfortable listening to. Because other people, Akala ain't going to say that comfortable shit. Nah. He's going to make them feel... He's going to give them facts. Right, and he's going to make people feel uncomfortable about, like, their own, like, normal daily thoughts. Do you know what I mean? So,
but there's doing that with certain things. Like, okay, let's have debates about these type of things, and let's have discussions, But like, there's not to defend something like that. Again, is just like I don't know, man. Like it's Steven, innit, man? It's Steven from Django, man.
Uncle Ruckus.
But that's it. But he's been denying it from day dot.
Yeah,
because that was the whole thing with the kicking of the banana.
Yeah.
It's just denying
wait.
It's not happening.
Give us some context of the banana.
So when he was playing for, was it Liverpool?
Yeah.
And then they threw the banana on the pitch at him.
Yeah.
And he just kicked it back, killed it back.
Yeah.
So that's him denying any racism. Because he never made no big thing about it. So it's not that he's changed anything. That's how he sees he can defeat it by just denying
ignoring it. Yeah. True. Crickstafari.
Do you know? Yeah, the whole thing's a bit of a madness. Yeah, like John Barnes, he's like he's 6ix9ine's uncle or something, innit? But he's on some funny thing, My man's avoiding the point because he's culturalized to be in that football scenario and be like that. Like he's been in it old school, 80s, so he knows it's straight back. You fucking. You get me? You walk like racism to the point where you understand. But he, like you're saying, him kicking back the banana was a stance to be like, you can be as racist as you want. I'm still kicking football. Yeah. Now that's his view.
Rising above
but
it.
Right now we're in 2019 where that thing's not okay.
Yeah.
Now it is wrong.
Okay. It wasn't okay, but
no, it's never been okay. It's never been okay. But it's all football's still like that now. They're still trying to act like they're fining people. They're not fining no clubs of racism. They're lying. Yeah, they're not doing that, because man, we're getting fined every match, Guaranteed every match there's a fine getting slapped out, more than one. But the whole point of it for me is that reality is that this is where social media comes into a man's lives where they think, like you're saying, they're talking to their friend. Yeah. But reality is that we don't know their I don't know their joke relationship and what they bust and what he says to my man. Yeah. But I know that my Spanish, innit? Portuguese. Now Portuguese people have that natural same thing in it. Like it's an ignorance of, like in Portugal, it's a different, still racist now, innit? Like it's still you still get like, you still get looked at differently when you go shopping. Like, I've been out there, innit? So, man's been out there couple places, and you still get looked at different. You still get treated different. But between them two, whatever their jokes was, like, it's gone now far right, innit? Because everyone can see it. That's not for no. If you just send him a private message, inboxed him, okay.
That's between you.
But
once
this
you
is,
put it, don't belong to them.
But
again.
like company said, the white privilege, I wouldn't even say it's the white privilege. I would just say it's that dunce fucking
That ignorance, that's
foreign fucking not educated. Like, it's okay to say comments like, because in their heads it's okay. Like, I just think you're dumb to think that them comments and that activity is okay. But the reality is that's because when social media people start only because they're footballers. If there was nobodies, no one would have clocked it.
Nah.
Yeah, they wouldn't have made Facebook. They wouldn't have made none of that. But the reality is that it's out there. The reality is that like, them chocolates and them should get taken off. But you know, when man goes to Spain, man see some funny stuff. But that's just because all of them kind of countries like that, they're used to having it. But they're not going to change it because there is no black
Turkish got a
empowerment.
biscuit called Negro. So to cut
There you go.
Negro.
Negro,
Turkish is
yeah.
a black, like, some Oreo knockoff thing and a long black back. You know, it says Negro on it. Like, proper spelt like Negro.
There you go.
But this is reality. This is where us in England are like, you know, do we change? Like, our views can't be judged a lot on watching other people or other countries shit. And this is where we get now lost in the system. In them other countries, left that to them. Like, they like, but because we see it, we now have a view on it. But the reality is that in their country, that would be not a point, not a problem. I guarantee there's not no blackheads in flipping Portugal right now saying, yo, fam, I'm gonna go and burn down the bank because man's taking the piss.
Yeah,
No,
I can't speak for Portugal because I feel like they got their own situation. But with Spain, for instance, where those chocolates come from, I know that I've spoken to Spanish people in Spain about, like, I've confronted them, like, just stuck it on them, like, what go on for this chocolate? And, like, they will always make the excuse that, no, it's not, like I said earlier.
Yeah, of course.
It's not supposed to be a black child, or it's not supposed to be a black person. It's supposed to be a chocolate person, a chocolate characterized
But
as a person.
if they would have bust the history that you said earlier, then reality of it is you'd have had an understanding.
Exactly.
Say, okay,
But
you're
they don't
representing
know that
something
because
good. But
imagine if it's from your culture. Imagine, like, someone told you.
That's old history.
Like, imagine someone told you now Cocoa Pops was racist all these years. You've been yamming Cocoa Pops all your life. Like Cocoa Pops, and then someone said no.
You're saying he's a monkey.
Racist.
Look, that's supposed to be the black guy that made it.
Right, exactly. You would have a problem with that because how can Cocoa Pops be racist?
It's like when man found out about Timberland, but man still wear them.
I got excited again. Like last month. But for them, it's like Cocoa Pops being racist. It's like you can't, like, someone all of a sudden saying Cocoa Pops is racist. You're gonna be like, you're gonna take umbrage with that because that's something that you've grown up on. So to them, that's something that they've grown up on. So to them, they're not seeing it. And if you've grown up not thinking about it, and also in their culture, there's not a culture in Spain. Only the last
It's
2 decades
still.
Only the last 2 or so decades have they got, like, a black population. Yeah. And so you gotta think, like, this is from the 80s and whatever, and it was created in the 60s. Yeah. So the people who created this chocolate, there was no one to stand up and say, wait a second, we don't rate that. There was no one. There's no one in their culture to rate that. Do you know what I mean? Here we have, like, you know, this body and that body to say that's racist and that's racist, and you're not allowed to say that. And so that's why all of a sudden, even though people over here can be racist as fuck, that's why as soon as it came out, people were like, oh, that's not okay, because we've got that's embedded in our culture, because we've had, like, immigrants being over here since like a long time to kind of, so you get, like, a sense of sensibility when things like this happen, whereas over there they haven't had to, because it's just been Spanish people
and still
forever.
now, and as you still now know, in Spain it's still, you get treated different for being a black person. They'll still work and still get the things, but you get treated different or spoke to different.
You get and it might even be subtle. It might even be it's not like,
but they don't have a voice, like you said. There's not an empowerment of a
There's
person
not a
out there
voice.
that represents any. I don't think any person of black colour within high enough in the government that could speak for the people to say, you know, actually we need to stand for certain ideas. But there's not a following of people to speak up.
Exactly. And I mean, look, this is not a diss against Spanish people. Listen, I love the Spanish people. I'm always in Spain. We were in Spain this year. Love it. Mwah, Madrid, Barcelona, all that shit. Valencia, come on. But at the same time, it's like you have to call it how it is. And you know, if the reason that they don't have that there's not an uproar about this in Spain, or that people will feel that this is acceptable ways of expressing themselves and banter is because there haven't been. I mean, when I was in Spain the last time in July, I was talking with my friend about like, would you live here? And I was like, do you know what? Like, I did consider it at one point, but I'm not sure because when things happen like this, yeah, like it doesn't even have to be a big thing. I'm not saying, oh, like man will get beat up by the feds or something like that. But when it comes to certain things like this, if a situation happened like this in Spain, there's no one to stand up and say, that's not right.
Yes.
So everyone's going to tell you, oh, no, that's all right. Turn the other cheek. And you're just talking for yourself because no one's there to back you up to say, nah, that's a fuckery. Yeah? So that's why I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know if I would because things like that, you feel isolated within the country. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, bringing it back, that I feel like that's also why the people like Bernardo Silva, who are dropping this kind of banter, and you know Mendy's not really none the wiser. He's gonna feel like, why are people getting all up in arms because it was just a joke? But you're not seeing, you don't know the history.
But that's for
like
Mendy's to stand up and speak up and say to people, like, listen, if he was said, you know what, listen, people, that's a joke between me and my brethren. Don't take it out of context.
Yeah.
That shouldn't have went that far.
Yeah.
That's a private joke between us. I've referenced him as ugly little foreign babies or little Google babies and stuff. I've done alien babies and that and said, you little... Do you get me? Like, he has to show some context to back it for if it's his so-called friend. And to be real, when you're getting paid them wages, boy, everyone's your friend, innit? To be real with you, Jenna, give me them wages right now. Come grind my claw off, blood. Yeah.
Yeah, but listen,
but it's reality. But that's what I'm saying to you. But this is why, as a man, if he's not educated to see that it's a diss or understand that it's wrong for you to, that Mama just needs to know that. Like, black people don't find them things there, or as being mixed race person, yeah, of both descents, I speak for both and I'm proud, yeah. Like, man don't find it offensive or offended. I just think it's ignorant and like uneducated. It's just a bit dumb. Yeah. Like, it's a bit time to move on now, isn't it? There's a lot of people doing stuff in the thing. Like, at least have a better image for people that you see that help you every day. Like, the same doctors and nurses that are saving your people's lives, and the same people that's creating stuff to help you or make you feel like, come on, have a bit of respect now, innit? Like, if somebody put a flipping bleached out looking, Casper looking person every time they drew like a person of lighter colour or white skinned, then you're gonna have to put and then spray paint fake tan and say like coloured like on the side because they're of some descent in the sun where they got a bit of colour in their skin. Like, I don't know, like what they would understand to change it, but there's no way that it's gonna change.
Someone said to me earlier, like, there was this debate ended up going on the New Guardz page a couple of days ago, and someone was saying like, like someone tried to counter the argument by saying, what if, the Milky Bar Kid is also racist? But I was like, no, because
the advert of the Milky Bar Kid, the Milky Bar Kid was made and called the Milky Bar Kid because he has he's Macaulay Culkin looking little you.
Kid racist? Because he was saying it was saying his point was, it was portraying a white stereotype of a white kid being a cowboy, and I was like, that's not.
Wait, the cowboys, man.
So
cowboys, what?
Exactly.
Well, let's look at the time of when it was made.
I don't really see that as the same, but it was like to me, dropping that kind of argument on the page was to me that's whataboutery. That's whataboutery. That's like, what about this? It's like, not really. It's not the same. This is just
people saying the same thing. That's when white privilege comes in of not understanding. Saying, have an understanding that forget colour, all of this, and flipping every privilege. Just understand there's people out there's different, blood. So have an understanding that things are different. So mind what you say, innit? Yeah. Be careful how you talk out here.
It's just understanding when someone says, look, I have a problem with something, not trying to like disregard that as like, you're overreacting. It's like, no, there's a reason why people like have an issue. People are allowed to take issue. It's not like anything to do with people feeling too sensitive. It's just like, at the end of the day, if someone says that they don't appreciate that image because of the historical context. There's a historical context to all of this. Yeah, like we said earlier, blackface, gollywogs on the jam jar, Enid Blyton, all of the gollywogs in her story were like, bad, naughty. They were like, everything was about them being naughty, and they were teething, and they were like, come and mashing up Noddy's car and all of that. Like, they were negative characters. So you know what I mean? The gollywogs in the story, they were like little rascals, bro. They were ready to just on antics.
That was when history was okay to be outed like
exactly,
that.
But even with that, people were coming out the other day because Enid Blyton was given a commemorative coin, and people were like obviously some people were like, look, why does she need a coin? And people are like, whoa, this is political correctness gone mad. And it's like, well, first of all, Enid Blyton's dead, so she didn't ask for a coin. So why do you feel like it's necessary to give her a coin when she's dead? Her books and her material was very offensive, yeah? Whether or not, but people get offended because they're like, oh, like I said, their granny might have raised them on them books. That's their whole upbringing. You've just shitted on because you've said, nah, that's offensive. Wait, so you're saying my upbringing was offensive? Fuck you. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm dissing you. It's not. Bro, I was raised on
Enid Blyton too, you know.
Exactly.
Don't get twisted. Man didn't know it was Bandulu.
Right, exactly.
Man didn't know Jim will fix it. Was trying to fix it, blood. Huh? What are you talking about? Man didn't know these things. Man only found out later. You get me? I didn't know Mars' marathon before. Or Snickers, whichever one. Yeah? I didn't know them things. You find out later, and when you do find out, that's when you realise and you pass.
Real life, bro. You gotta listen. You gotta take things into consideration. And the thing is, like, well, once people decided, look, Enid Blyton was cancelled, yeah. Now, you don't have to cancel Enid Blyton. If you want to still read her, but it's cool. But why does the woman need a fucking coin? She's dead from in the ground how much years? What's a coin gonna do? Left the woman to dead in peace. Her whole bruv, her books, yeah? No,
they've done that on coins though, because they done Shakespeare, Bandulu teeth, innit? So they're on teeth in coins, fam. They're teeth in your money and they're frauding you anyway, so don't worry about the coins,
what's
fam.
the coin? You can't spend it anyway, so why do you need the coin?
Because they're robbing you when you buy it. That's the fraudery. You're the idiot for buying it. You just bought something that you can't spend or ever sell in your life, or that's not even worth money.
Got to put it in the cabinet.
And you're listen, let's move on, because Enid's not even worth the chat. Allow Enid round here. Get up, like.